Hello, welcome. So today we'll be talking about love languages. What is love? It's a perennial question that has stumped men throughout ages, but still has not been answered. So today we'll be talking about what love means to us, and more specifically, exploring our love languages. I will go first. I took a quiz. um, I'm sure you guys have heard about the love languages, right? By Gary Chapman. Um, oh, good.
Which
So,
are defined, what
what?
are they? Which one
Oh,
are they?
I have that answer for you. So I mentioned that there is a quiz. Actually, there's a website you can go and you can take this quiz to learn about your specific love languages. So they are acts of service, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, physical touch, and quality time. So I'll share my results. My primary love language is act of service. It's very close to quality time, so 33%, 30%. And after that is words of affirmation. Was I surprised by my results? Not so much, because I this it's something that I mention a lot, especially on this, that I'm a hopeless romantic, so I spend a lot of time thinking about love. What about you guys?
So the love languages. Yay, I'm happy we're talking about this. So normally the love languages are supposed to help us not only know how would like to receive love, but how to give love to the person that we're with, or family members or friends. So that's I think the primary reason why they explore the five languages is because you can be in a relationship with someone and the person is giving you love the way that they know how to, but yet you don't feel loved. And that's my first experience with the love languages. I was in a relationship where I did not feel loved, and the person that I was with also did not feel love until we discovered the love languages. And then we kind of realized that we were loving each other, just not the way that we were expected or that we wanted to be loved. So for me, my love languages are words of affirmations. So that's my top for me, words of affirmation. I want to be here. I want to hear that I'm loved. So me in a relationship is, baby, do you love me? Every 5 seconds. Well, not every 5 seconds, guys, but you'll hear it often. And the second one is physical touch. So yeah, I'm excited to know what you guys are.
I actually really enjoyed this. So what before I even get into my results, because I also took the quiz, it's some couples, they're lucky enough to have this great communication between them where, they don't even have to explore their love languages. They tell each other since, since the relationship begun. But then you have other couples, whether it's because there are so many things that they have going on, they're not so good at the communication part. So yes, they're caring for each other and they're doing all the things that they think they're supposed to be doing in a relationship, yet both people are just like, well, I don't feel that we are on the same page. I don't feel like we're connected. So this is where the love languages help. It helps you to connect with your partner, because then you get to understand, what they appreciate, and they get to understand what you appreciate. Then you both end up being able to feel love. So for me, my top results were physical touch and words of affirmation. So when when people say physical touch, it's not mostly a sexual thing. It's just like an everyday thing. If you're passing by, you just kiss your partner on the cheek, you know, if you're in the kitchen, you just hug them. I appreciate these things. So what are your thoughts, Ta?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit different from what's been spoken already. And because like my love language, my primary one is quality time. And I like spending a lot of like time with my partner. I like building memories. And like I thought this was really interesting, but like we had shared our results prior to recording. And most of us said that like our least one was like receiving gifts.
It is true.
Which like yeah, that's the
We have
lowest
that in
score for
common.
so many of us. Yeah, we don't like I think for me the reason why it's so low is because like I can always buy myself something if I want it, you know, independent woman, you know. Like but then you see like you know on social media and stuff like that a lot of people like I think that's the one that's like that's shown a lot on social media is like you know receiving gifts, and I think it's because maybe it's because just it's just easier to show.
Feel that one.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, what about you, Sarah?
I mean, I agree with you guys. Mine was physical touch and quality time and act of service. But also, I mean, the love language are useful too, you know, to improve how we communicate and express ourselves, you know, with our partner. I don't think they shouldn't be the lone solution for happiness. You know, instead, I think it should be a function. It should function as a starting point, you know, that sets couple on a journey most likely like, you know, to meet each other's need, and more profound as, you know, in a way you could self-regulate better. But I mean, it works, you know, but I don't think it should stop there per se. You're gonna meet someone that you're not compatible with as far as like, you know, your love languages. That doesn't mean that, you know, you don't love that person. That doesn't mean that, you know, you guys aren't supposed to be together. So I think it's a starting point to kind of like set us up to like throughout the journey of the relationship. So yeah, I'm big on physical touch. So that was like, you know, my main one, and I already knew that because I'm a very like, you know, touchy with my partner. So yeah, I don't know.
Cassie.
Yeah. To me, the love languages was more about knowing myself more. I remember the first time I took the test, this was what it was. Because I mean, you have to know yourself before you know anyone else. So yeah, my first is as like just like yours, Talisha. My first is quality time, and it's like a really high percentage because it's like 47. So which means that that's really really important to me, and I knew that. What I did not expect was that my least would be receiving gifts because I don't know. I did not
like a good gift, right?
You like gifts?
I mean, I do. I don't think I overly like it, but I do appreciate it when someone thinks of me. And I, I mean, this is something that probably I need to work on because I'm always the person buying people stuff, like especially like when it comes to family members and stuff. When I see something, I always know what people like. So I don't really demand to get that back. So maybe that's why that's not that important to me. But my last one was receiving gifts, which was like 3%. So it was a surprise.
Mine was 0%.
Yeah, mine too.
Mine is 3. So I was a little surprised by that. But at the same time, I think my results reflect exactly, maybe not the percentage, but the order. Like it was quality time, words of affirmation, and act of service, which were like top ones. The fact that physical touch is like one of the least was a little surprising as well, because I expected it to be a little bit
Far.
up there,
Higher on the line.
but yeah. So yeah, but I
Yeah.
think the results are kind of like accurate.
Yeah, but I think also like we all said, it's something that it's a learning process. It's something that that you took that test in order for you to be aware, and now for you to work on that part that you're lacking. So now that you're aware of that, I think maybe you're gonna pay more attention to it when you're with your significant other. So you're gonna maybe be a little bit more touchy, kiss him more, or I don't know, but you're probably gonna be able to express, that feeling a little bit more for that love.
And I think
Priska, I am always like, I think I am really like physical. That's why I was that surprised. So
But
maybe I'm not as physical as I thought.
I mean, I don't think it necessarily mean like, physical as in, well, I'm not saying that's what you mean, but let me just say, like, it doesn't necessarily mean like, physical touch doesn't mean like, sexually active. Sometimes like holding hands, when you out walking, you could sit on
Hugging.
the couch, like, you could rub his legs and stuff. I don't know if he has a beard, play with his beard, rub his head, like, or rub his like, back and stuff like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like, you literally like, having sex like on a daily. That's not what I mean, but more so as in like, feel him just like a little bit.
Well, I think I think what we're missing on is, in terms of Cassie's results here, is that just because physical touch is much lower on her list, does that mean physical touch is not higher on her partner's list? So if she's already doing all these things, maybe it's
He's
important,
satisfied.
it's satisfying to him,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
she doesn't necessarily have to get it all back to feel that she's loved.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a question. Do you guys think it should be, I don't want to say mandatory, but recommended as two people are starting to get serious, that they explore together, like learning their love languages if they have not already, or at least have the other person verbalize to them what if they know what their love language is, so that way there are no misunderstanding? Or
I think like, good communication is definitely going to spark a communication. And I think that's the whole point of the book, is to kind of like, express to your partner how you feel, what you want, what you like. Because, I mean, you may know that you like to be touched. He may not know that.
right.
So the conversation needs to happen. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So as important as it is to get to know ourselves, I think it's as important to know what our partners want, so that we could know how to express it to them. One thing with love languages is that it's not always the case, we tend to express love languages the way we expect to receive it.
Yeah.
For me, I touch a lot and I say I love you a lot. But for people, and I said that it's not important for me to receive gifts. Therefore, I don't necessarily give gifts as well. When I was with someone who loved receiving gifts, that was one of his primary things. That's how he knows I love him. And it wasn't important to me as well. So he was always disappointed.
Right.
I have the same example where for me it's really low. It's like it's the last one for me, and I know that I do not like receiving. It's not that I don't like it, but it's not important to me. But my partner, it's his primary one. It's like, so that means it's important to know, because if I don't like receiving gifts, but thank God I do like giving, so that means it takes care of it. But I think what I was getting with the question, I think it should be a conversation at some point where you are both on the same page, and you at least try to know how that person like loved to be loved, and you can do your best to express it in their language.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I don't necessarily agree with the fact that it's mandatory, because I think as you get into a relationship, these are things that you discover about one another. So I wouldn't feel comfortable as being like, oh, we started dating, but we're gonna sit and we're gonna talk about our love languages.
No, I don't think
Wanna
it
have
has
the
to be like, that like, robotic, like you don't have to like set a time or schedule for you to know, but more so like you could be, okay, we're
It would
grown
be
women. So
beneficial
let me
if
give an
you,
example. So you could be in bed with someone and you're like, you could say, hey, I like to be touched like this. I don't think there's nothing wrong with your verbally telling your partner, hey, this is how I like to be touched, or this is what I like. I mean, that's what's gonna like, make the relationship better, right? Them knowing and being able to exercise that, like, that emotion that you're requesting from them. So I think it's important for you to talk to your partner about that. It doesn't have
I
to be
mean,
like a schedule thing, but
it's not only partners. I think it can be whoever. Like, for example, I passed that test to my mom and my dad.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna pass you guys a test, and I'm gonna ask you guys some questions, and you guys are gonna answer. And in a way, I already knew what their results were gonna be. Like, I knew what my mom's was gonna be, because my mom is all about acts of service, and hers was like really high, and my dad is physical touch. So they speak two different love languages. But how does it matter? How does it work? It's because they know, like, my dad is really like talk like, I love you. I know my dad is the kind of person that would like give you a hug for no reason, touch your back for no reason. You know what I mean?
Aw.
But my mom is all about acts of service. Like, yeah, you're fed, like you have this, you have that. So this is their love language. And as I don't think it just like has to do, and I think I understood my mom a little bit more after I passed her the test. Because I was like, oh, so that's how she loves me. That's how she tells me she loves me, is by doing this and by doing that. So I think, and that has helped tremendously. And to accept her
Yeah.
the way she is, and knowing that she loves me, that's how she loves, that's how she expresses her love. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point, Cassie. Like, where do these love languages come from? Like, do they come from like our environment? Is it something like I don't know, is it something that comes from our personalities? Does it come from like our experiences? Like, where do you guys think these come from?
It
Because
actually
I found it,
it come from
I found it really interesting that like Cassie and I were both Capricorns. We're born like yeah, January 4th and
Yes.
January 6th, and our results were so similar. They were so similar. So
I
what do you
think
guys
your
think?
culture and your background do play like a big role when it comes to your love language, also your surroundings as well. And whatever like you learn from your parent can like transcend into however you express your emotion towards others. So yeah, I think yeah.
For
I
me,
think life experience can also play, like, I don't think, let's say that if you took the test in your early 20s and you took it in your 30s, you could have different
Exactly.
results.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think life experience also can impact how you want to be loved at a certain point of your life,
I
or
mean,
how you express it.
You might
myself
have needs that you had when you were in your 20s that you don't have in your 30s or in your 40s. And when you have kids as well, I think you express your love differently, because I mean, it's a different experience when you're married, and or if you get a divorce or something.
I
So
like
it's
that, Cassie. I love that you gave it to your parents, because it reminded me of one of our past episodes, the childhood trauma, where some of us expressed that they didn't feel loved by their parents because their parents didn't necessarily say the words "I love you." And I think maybe if we took the time to understand how they expressed their love, maybe that need to hear it would have been filled in another way.
yeah.
That's
I
true.
mean, I think for a lot of our Haitian parents, especially the mothers, it's going to be act of services, because that's one of the major ways they know how to express their.
You're generalizing, Prisca. No,
I'm not generalizing. I'm saying like kinda, because Cassie say her mom was like act of service, and
act of service.
definitely
That's what she
mine
And I
That's
think
the
it
way
was
she
like
is.
You
37
too, though.
So
Huh?
really hard.
Just two, like it's six of us and two. There are so many Haitian moms out there.
No.
I'm
I'm
teasing
not
you though.
saying
I'm just
anything for
teasing you, but
some
I
of
see what
them.
you're saying.
Yeah, for some of them and stuff, definitely. But I mean, it goes on and on. And like I said, this is not the lone solution of how to express your love. We shouldn't like, categorize it based off of the five love languages. There's like, a magnitude of way you could express your love towards a person. So we shouldn't only focus. Like the idea is not for you to focus on only the five love language. It's a starting point.
Have you guys
Exactly.
used the five languages to interpret other relationship besides romantic relationship, like friends and coworkers and such?
Well, I did it for my parents.
Oh, yeah.
I did it a couple years ago with my coworker. Nothing romantic. I just have to put out there was nothing romantic about it, but I did it with a coworker, and I realized that we had very similar like love languages. We were really close, and so like we liked hanging out with each other, and we were constantly like that was our talk, was just quality time, and so that made sense. Yeah.
I think for me,
I've
when it
not
comes to
used
my
it other
friends,
than for romantic
yeah, for my
relationship.
friends, it probably would be like word of affirmation because I'm big on like sharing quotes and sending things like that to people. So maybe.
I mean, we also did it at my job, but it was mostly about them learning their love language. It was not something that we're gonna use at like a work thingy. But yeah, I think it was really interesting because some people don't even know their love language. And that's the thing. If you don't know your love language, how can you expect people to love you how can you tell people to love you the way you want to be loved? Because sometimes you have to demand to be like, baby, this is what I like. I want to spend time with you. I want this. I want that. So it's an opportunity. It's like not only a learning opportunity, but a teachable moment. You get to teach other people about, hey, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is, so.
Yeah. I mean, I think I didn't know about this term love language until maybe a year ago. I mean, you hear about love, but you don't really know how you want to be loved or how to really put it in a correct term. So that's why I think, I love that we're having this conversation. So if there's someone out there that doesn't even know that there's a term love language, maybe they can look it up or they can get some information from us. And like you say, Sarah, it doesn't it doesn't have to be those five specific categories. But I think what's important is if you don't feel, if you're not on the same page, or it can be very frustrating to be with someone where they're not understanding you, how you want to be loved, and you think that you're showing them love, and that's not how they understand love. So it doesn't even have to be, I want to know your love language. I think it should be, how
want to learn.
yeah, exactly, I want to learn more about you. And it doesn't have to be just verbal, but you can observe the person and see their reactions when you do something for them. But I think it's something that should be discussed, because I know it can be very frustrating.
Right,
Definitely.
To not feel
And
loved, right?
one
Being
thing that
loved in a way that you don't necessarily want. Imagine if they start sending you presents every single day, Jeffan.
And then, oh, you see, do you know, like, no, it's, you're saying that and we're laughing, but a lot of people get divorced for that reason. The husband is always traveling, but they're sending them expensive gifts. But what that woman wants is to spend quality time with their husband.
Exactly.
So that's a very simple example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think we touched about, where we think these love languages might come from, but I wanted to touch a bit about how culture can influence your love language. So it's not just in terms of, how you are, because I know in Asian cultures and such, you get people that they're not very open about how they love. So the way they might be expressing their love might be completely different than you're used to, especially if you're dating someone that's not from your own race and that's from there. So it's a conversation worth having, I think, to learn how your partner feel love, and letting them know how you want, how you feel love as well. So
Because you said that, I realized that, like, us Haitians, do you see how we're always dating other Haitians? Most of us. I'm sorry, I remember that. But most Haitians, like, for example, I've never dated someone that's not Haitian. And I've been like in different cultures, different countries where I could have. So that's really interesting.
It's definitely hard to date someone that is outside of your culture, your race. So that's a conversation that we should have probably. But
Yes.
because other things comes into play. So love language becomes a whole different kind of thing when you're with someone who has a different culture altogether. Now, thank you so much, guys, for sharing your results and letting us know what your thoughts were about the love languages. And what I want our audience to get from this is, not knowing your love language can be detrimental. You have to know yourself. You have to know what you love in order for your partner to be able to to get that from you. So thank you so much for joining. I hope you learned a lot from us, and we stream on YouTube, Facebook, IG on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
This is hard.
Follow, subscribe.
That was horrible.